Throughout this season, we've been looking at the different aspects of hormone replacement therapy for men. So for our last chat, we've asked Dr. Mark from the T Clinic to chat to us about the challenges of getting HRT right. Now, Mark, when we say challenges, it's not that it's impossible to get it right, but it's not a straightforward process as I understand it. So what are the challenges, or is the challenge in maintaining sort of optimum hormone levels when you're doing a replacement therapy?
Michael, I think the first thing that we need to understand is that hormone systems are interlinked, and there are many of them. There's over 50 hormones, and usually hormones come in a cascade. So the moment that you start optimizing or supplementing one hormone, the physiological effect of what you are doing will affect the balance and the functioning of other hormone systems.
Okay.
It's again that analogy of taking an award-winning recipe, which is when you are 18, 19, 20, 21,
Yes.
and starting to change an ingredient or the method in which you're doing this. The cake will never taste the same. And the difficulty with hormone balancing is you need to rewrite this recipe so that by adding a little bit more of that, I have to compensate by doing this, etc., etc. So it's not only effects of that system, but the effect of that system on other systems.
Right.
And that's quite challenging.
Okay.
So if I supplement you with testosterone because your testosterone levels are not optimal, what's going to happen directly because of that is you're going to take that testosterone and you can aromatase it into estrogen.
Right.
So your estrogen levels are going to start climbing. And this is going to lead to emotional lability, mood swings, irritability, like with high estrogen levels in women.
Yes.
It's going to have a negative effect on your sexual functioning. One of the reasons why we take testosterone is to address sexual function.
Yes.
So that's just the direct next step. But then there's negative feedback. If I give you testosterone, you're going to signal to the body that I don't have to make my own. And now you start affecting the whole system. You're going to affect your pituitary gland by suppressing it. And due to that, you're going to start suppressing the production of human chorionic gonadotropin, which is going to lead to less follicle stimulating hormone, which directly impacts your fertility because now we're not making sperm.
Okay.
But the other thing is that we need to take into account is if I give you testosterone, one of the effects of testosterone is it stimulates the production of red blood cells. To make healthy red blood cells, I need iron. So by doing that, I place demand on my iron stores. So if I create a lower iron level through its effect of testosterone, now I'm going to start affecting my thyroid gland, which depends on iron for my thyroid hormone to bind to. So, and this is what makes hormone supplementation, hormone optimization, and hormone replacement therapy very, very challenging. You need to understand how all these things are linked to one another because it seems on paper that they're completely not related.
Absolutely. And I mean, that also goes back to what we've spoken about before in terms of the interaction with yourself as a practitioner and me as a patient, and talking about what the effect is. So if you make a change here, how do I feel? Okay, cool. You feel that, then we must adjust this. And it's that one, you start with one thing, but the idea is that you bring in the whole system back in line to optimal status.
Absolutely. I think in your approach to hormone balancing or optimization, you need to have a very clear understanding of where the patient came from.
Yes.
In other words, his complete medical history.
Absolutely.
Where the patient is currently and existing comorbidities, medication that the patient is taking. You need to understand lifestyle, what the patient does not do. You need to understand whether the patient is going to be willing to buy into the lifestyle changes that you need to incorporate. You know what? There's no magic bullet. I'm going to give you this and you're going to get better if you do not focus on lifestyle. In last week's episode, we spoke about men and weight and the effect of hormones in weight. So I can do everything that will optimize your metabolic systems from a biochemical part. But if you do not incorporate the lifestyle changes of becoming more active, eating correctly, etc., no matter what I do, it's going to fail.
Yes.
And this is important for us to understand. It's a journey, one in which you are actively involved. And in our practice, you know what, we demand adherence. The patient needs to be involved in the decision-making process, and then the patient is responsible for follow-through. You know what, I cannot take that responsibility as your practitioner. I'm the one that prescribes the medication, the supplementation, the lifestyle changes, but I cannot force you to implement them.
Exactly. I mean, you can lead the horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. Mark, in terms of your process at the T-Clinic, let's maybe just give people a sense of how you would approach a new interaction with a new patient who's come to you saying, I need help, this is what I'm dealing with, where do we go from here?
So Michael, in my practice, it's quite different. I sit my patient down and number one, I say to them, I have certain rules in my practice, and one of them is that we need to be honest with one another. So my first question that I ask is, why are you here? What do you want out of us? And the moment they say to me, yeah, I just want to check if everything is normal, I take a look at it and say, okay, everything is normal, now what? What is it that you want? You need to understand, and then identifying the patient's main symptoms. Okay. From there, I go and we go through a very, very detailed medical history. Then we go through surgical history, because that gives you a very good indication of disease process that the patient might have had. We look at current medication as well as supplementation. And then, because you are going to work on hormones or metabolic processes, it's incredibly important to understand the family history and family dynamics. Are there chronic diseases in the family? Are there any indication of cancers, etc., or autoimmune diseases? And then we go into habits, smoking, etc., lifestyle. And once you have that, you have the background. And then we go into what is the patient currently dealing with. Okay? Simple things. Is there a change in sexual functioning, mental functioning, higher function, sleep, energy levels, weight, etc., And now you have an idea of what it is that you're dealing with. And only then do I send my patients for biochemical screening. In other words, we go and do blood tests. Once I bring them back, it's an explanation of what the blood test tells you, but now you have to go and take that blood test and you have to marry it with a patient's history and clinical presentation. Once we've identified that, whether you are able to bring these two together, because sometimes you can't, and then you have to dig a little bit deeper, we discuss the different treatment modalities available for the patient. And now we come to adherence again. The patient and myself sit and we discuss which option would be best for them, that they will be able to incorporate into their lifestyle, And then we discuss what is the road forward and what the journey might entail and when you're going to start seeing changes.
Okay. Now, Mark, how long would it take from the beginning of starting treatment to start to notice the differences or the changes in your body from hormone replacement therapy?
For men in my practice, what I always tell them is the feedback that 99% of my patients give me is week 1, nothing. Week 2, yeah, you know what, I might be sleeping a little bit better, I might have better erections, but nothing. Week 3, okay, and usually by week 4, we start noticing that there's a difference. So this is not an instant, I have one injection or one tablet and I feel better. It's not antibiotics.
Right.
This takes time. Why? Because we're fixing and balancing systems.
Okay, and I suppose as you're tweaking one, you've got to tweak the next one, tweak the next
Absolutely,
one.
and hear the
that
patient's
cascade.
feedback on a continuous basis.
Yeah.
And self-evaluation, subjective evaluation of treatment plays an integral role.
Right. Mark, I think there are probably a lot of guys out there who are thinking, maybe I should have a chat to Mark and find out a little bit more. Where can they find you?
Easiest place, social media on our website, www.tclinic.com, or Johannesburg 01082411393.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.